Today, I'll be going over how Moonlight Syndrome as it relates to the Fatal Frame franchise. Moonlight Syndrome is also known as Getsuyu Syndrome and Luna Sedata Syndrome. The disease originates on Rogetsu Isle, an island with strong spirit activity due to its crystals, mountains, caves, and tunnels, which, in Japanese culture, are all representative of characteristics and gateways to the spirit realm. A ritual known as the Rite of Descent is performed on the island every 10 years to cleanse the island of trapped spirits and return them back to the spirit realm. The spirit realm is also called the Hallowed Lands by island natives. Due to the buildup of spiritual activity, both visitors and inhabitants of the island have been known to fall ill with Moonlight Syndrome, as the island became tainted by trapped spirits of the departed. The Rite of Descent was performed once every 10 years to cleanse the island of spirits, but after being deemed too dangerous due to a prior failed ritual that resulted in the deaths of almost everyone on the island, it was banned from being performed again. Instead, a reworked version of the ritual was invented, and served mainly as a tourist attraction and theatrical performance for the island instead of a practical sacred one. This new ritual became known as the Rogetsu Kagura. Due to the Rogetsu Kagura's ineffectiveness compared to the Rite of Descent, people on Rogetsu Isle continued to fall ill with Moonlight Syndrome. The early symptoms of Moonlight Syndrome are mainly psychological, and the way patients act and progress varies greatly from person to person. Stage 1 of Moonlight Syndrome usually results in patients being avoidant and afraid of their own reflections. This is possibly due to some type of possession and losing the ability to recognize oneself. Stage 2 of Moonlight Syndrome causes confusion, paranoia, and hallucinations. Stage 3 is called resonance, and is the phase in which patients become contagious to others who are in less severe stages of the disease. While Moonlight Syndrome itself is not contagious, patients in this stage can intensify the symptoms of others, such as causing those who are simply budding to start blooming. Stage 4, and the final stage of Moonlight Syndrome, is blossoming. The patient's face breaks apart, becomes disfigured, and distorted. It causes death, and anyone who sees a person blossoming will blossom and die as well. Their face will remain distorted in spirit form as well. One symptom that seems constant throughout most patients with the disease is that the moon greatly affects their mood. Patients become more upset based on the phases of the moon. When the moon waxes, also known as growing or increasing, the patients will seek out and be calmed by the moon. When the moon wanes or eclipses, patients will become more upset and their symptoms will become more severe. This is also reflected in the name. Luna Sedata seems to combine the Latin words for moon, which is luna, and sedate, which means to calm or tranquilize. The Japanese word getsu-byu, in reference to Getsuyu Syndrome, translates out to tranquil moon disease or secluded moon disease. This may be referencing the increased intensity of the disease when the moon wanes or eclipses. Not all patients will reach the final blossoming stage. This is because many patients commit suicide either intentionally as a result of depression from losing their memories or accidentally by dying from trying to be closer to the moon. Less commonly, patients are found dead, presumably from heart attacks, brain hemorrhaging, or other unexplained physical causes. It also seems that blooming and blossoming are separate. Blooming is a contagious form of the disease in the living, while blossoming appears to be death as a result of the disease that remains contagious even after the patient's death. To solve this issue, faces of the deceased would be cut off and replaced with a mask to prevent the disease from spreading to other patients. It should be noted that a tanned, harvested face from a newly deceased person would be used to line the mask of the maiden in the Rite of Descent, but it was strictly prohibited to use the face of someone suffering from Moonlight Syndrome. Doing so would cause the ritual to fail, and that is exactly what happened during the first failed Rite of Descent. For more Fatal Frame lore, visit my channel or click a new video on the screen now.